Hang on. I just, let's see if this will do it. Oh, I forgot. Okay, I'm going to get a little blurry for a second, so hold on. Well, not blurry, but, oh my goodness, much better. Um, forgot to clean off the camera on my phone first. Hello, friends. Hi. How is everybody? Good evening. Looks like we have, well, first welcome Lisa. I saw in the chat, Lisa, first timer, so welcome Lisa. And then also Kathy. Kathy with her knee replacement. Oh my goodness, I bet you're so glad to have that done. Now you just need to get through all the healing, right? So glad that you can make it and glad everybody can make it, anyone that's here. So welcome if you're watching live, and if you are not watching live, then welcome on the replay. Hi Denise. Let's see, Robin, we always have lots of Californians, right? Some Colorado, California. Hi Teresa and Robin and Lauren. Hi Lauren. Lynn. Let's see, oh, we're talking about fires, aren't we? Which, oh goodness, right? Craziness with the fires all over. So unfortunate. And somebody was saying smoke in Colorado. Yes. Coming from California, go through Utah, we have our own share of fires. And then I think the smoke just kind of accumulates as it works its way across the U.S. And then I think there's some Canada too coming down. So it's hard to escape. So unfortunately, it's doing a lot of devastation, which is so sad. Hi, Susan. Hi, TK's Baskets. Oh, Teresa. Hi, Teresa. I saw that before. Okay, friends. So, we hopefully are all here to set up our Traveler's Notebook for the month of September. I apologize for sending the reminder late. I don't remember. I think Saturday I sent the original invite or the original email with the class information. And then this afternoon I went, oh gosh, totally forgot to send the reminder. So if you're watching the replay because I sent the reminder too late, sorry about that. A good rule of thumb is when you get the first email, put it in your calendar so you remember. Okay, friends. So yes, setting up we're doing our September setup. So I am going to flip the camera and I'm going to turn on the lights and then we'll go ahead and get started. So bear with me for 1 sec while I flip. All right, here we go. 1, 2, 3. All righty, now let's get some lights because we are a little bit shadowy. Hi, Debbie, Northeast Pennsylvania. All right, so if you are new, hi Ann, if you are new, and it sounds like we have a couple folks, I know we always have a couple folks that are new. If you are new and you are watching live, ooh, plug in. Oh, whoopsie, that's important that I get this plugged in, so bear with me for a sec here. Okay, if you are watching live, there is a chat that takes place over on, I think for most of you, the right-hand side of your screen. It kind of depends on the view that you have, whether you're first full screen view, whether you're on a tablet or a computer or your phone or your TV or what have you. Okay. I forgot to turn on one of the lights, so that should get better here in a sec. Joe is live for the first time in ages. Yay! All right, so yes, if you're live, chat takes place on the right-hand side of the screen. That is a wonderful place for you to check in, say hello, kind of get to know a lot of, well, I shouldn't say a lot of the regulars. I should say some of the regulars. There are lots of regulars. It just depends on whether people watch the live version or watch the replay. Okay, TKS Baskets, you know what's going to happen. Oh, Teresa, I'm going to do my best to try to remember that, Teresa, every time I see. Yes, we do October separately. So I will, early next week, I will send out the invite for October. I can tell you when it is, though. It is the 22nd of September. So that's when we'll do that, same time, but watch for the email for that with the link. And it sounds like Elle is used to watching the replays, so welcome to the live. If you are not watching the live, don't be sad, because guess what? If I didn't talk about replays and live, you wouldn't even know that it wasn't live, right? So just glad that you were able to join. You will not see the chat, but you can still play along just the same. If you have questions, so the chat is a great place while we're live. If you have questions, that's a great place to kind of pop up and say, hey, Lael, hold on. What did you mean by that? Or, hey, can we see that again? Or I missed that. Or, hey, I have a question. What about this or that? Chat is a great place for that if you're watching live. If you're not watching live and you're watching the replay, the comments are a really good spot for that. So while I'm live, you don't have access to the comments because the video hasn't, it doesn't really have a place yet for those comments to go. So once the video is over, then you can go back and comment. I would also ask that you guys just give the video a thumbs up, because that is super important to how all the silly algorithms work with all the social medias. Okay, so our setup for September, and I just saw something. Use the same TN for both September and October. And Lauren, thank you for answering. And I love it that a lot of times you guys will pop in and give answers, because we all do things differently, right? I typically switch out my cover every month because I like to do that. To me, it's kind of like a purse or a pair of shoes, where I also have a lot of covers. So I switch out the same cover from month to, I switch out my cover from month to month. So, for example, this is the cover that I am moving out of for August and moving into this guy for September. For October, I have this little guy. So there's no right or wrong. It just depends on what you want to do. What do I do with the old covers? Oh gosh. When you say the old covers, do you mean covers like this, or do you mean the old slip covers that we make? I want to make sure that I'm answering. Your question, because now that you asked that, right. Okay, got it. Slip covers. So that question comes up fairly regularly. With the slip covers, what I like to do, like for example, this one, this little piece that's right here, that is perfect size for me to pop off and put on a card front. Exactly what Joe said. That's a great piece to pop off and put on a card front. Or if you are a scrapbooker, that is a nice sized piece to pop off and put on your 12 by 12 page or your 12 by 12 spread. I think though, in a lot of cases, I think a lot of people will just pop that off and make a card out of it. You could really, you know what maybe we'll do? We're just gonna, oh yes, we don't have Scatter. We're gonna squirrel for a minute. Let's have him there. But let's squirrel for a minute. Let's just take this one. This was pretty plain. But the way that you could super easily turn this guy into a card, let's pop that off and pull it out, my trimmer. So, oopsie. What have I've caught something there. All right. Voila. Well, I didn't quite cut that evenly, but there you go. That can be a card, right? So I don't even have to pop that piece off if I don't want to. So I can either pop it off or just basically do that, make a card. With all the, if you are popping off whatever you've decorated there, when you have what's left of your slipcover, so if I were to pop all of this guy off right here, what I have left over, let's just pretend like this is what I have left over on either one of these sides. Let's pretend this is what I have left over. So here, I could use this, really, that's a nice piece of pattern paper. So I could use that on a card, on a tag. I could use it in a mini book. I could use it on a scrapbook page. Really, again, you can kind of use that for anything because if you popped that guy off, it's pretty much just a piece of pattern paper to play with. All right. I know Denise has mentioned this before. Denise has a cart for her grandkids. So her grandkids come over and she puts things that they can kind of play with or craft with in that cart. So if you didn't feel like you wanted to do anything with it, you just put that off to your side and you have kids, grandkids. You could, yeah, just let them play with it. But also what Joe just said, which I can't believe I didn't bring that up, right? What kind of lister am I? Or creative listing sessions. This would also now be the perfect size to use as a background for one of our creative lists, right? So let me just grab that real quick. In the giant stack of things. So this is one of the lists that we just did this past Saturday. But I could take now this piece of paper and use it as a background for one of my lists. Yeah, that's so funny. Thanks, Joe. All right, so great ideas for different things that you could do with the slipcovers. All righty, so now let's dig in. Let's get some of this stuff out of the way. And that's a perfect example. That is a perfect example, Elle, thank you, of a great type of question to add in the chat, assuming I see it. Sometimes I don't see it, so. All right, generally what I do is we start out, we're moving out of 1 month and moving into the next month. So I have one of my slip covers. What did I just do with the other one? The one that had the calendar in it. Not that. Okay. That's so funny because I'd like to have my calendar in a minute. Oh heavens. Oh, here it is. Right off to the side. Okay, here we go. So those would be the two inserts that I just basically took the slip covers off of, and we'll set those aside for a sec, and we'll set my traveler's notebook aside. Okay, so in your kit, you're going to pull out about half of the product. And it's pretty obvious what we're going to pull out. We're going to pull out the fall themed papers, the fall themed sticker sheet, and then also go ahead and pull out your popsicle stick with the washi. We will be using this washi, kind of that gingham, rust-colored gingham for the month of September. You will have one of 3 different washi patterns or designs for the month of October. Next month, we are using the new Simple Stories Spooky Nights collection. And they have 3 different washis as part of a package. So basically just get a bunch of packages and everybody gets one of 3. So your little popsicle stick may look like that, or that one may look a bit different, but we'll use that guy. All right, so let's grab our trimmer to get started. We're going to start out by trimming these papers. So let's start with this guy first. This guy, 3x4 cards. This is probably what I use most often in the kits, right? In our Traveler's Notebook kits, because the 3x4 cards are perfect for decorating our pockets. And then also they're just like a really nice size for decorating the slip covers as well. So let's just go ahead and start chopping those up. Start chopping them up. So you guys, tomorrow's September 1st. Isn't that crazy? I tell you, I don't know where the time goes. You might save these. I will show you kind of an idea of something that you could do with those little strips towards the end. But yeah, September 1st. And those of you that are new, for the most part, when all of the crafting gods decide to participate and cooperate, I guess it's probably more cooperate than participate, and when all the stars align and there are no delays in China, there are no delays on the water from China, there are no delays in the port cities, there are no delays once the containers start getting unloaded, and there are no delays for customs to go through all the containers. There are no delays for the containers to get unloaded. There are no delays for the product then to get loaded either on rail or on a truck. So when all of those stars align, and those are a lot of stars to align, right? when all those stars align, generally with the Traveler's Notebook kits, generally I kind of share the kit and what the setup looks like. Usually I try to do it maybe like the 7th or 8th of every month. And when all those stars align, I have the product then, and that gives us plenty of time to get the kits shipped out to everyone. And then that also gives us plenty of time to schedule the class. Ideally, in a perfect world, we are not doing our setup the night before a new month starts. But in this case, poor Simple Stories, I tell you, they've had one heck of a time with just their product, trying to get their product in from China, going through all of those little things. So they, the Spooky Nights collection, which is the October part of our setup, just took forever. So just know that normally we give ourselves more time, but we also say, you know what? Life's too short to get all worked up over things like that we can't control. So we're the night before and it works. Or you may be watching it a little bit later. And yes, so I've just cut all those little 3x4 cards apart. We will be using most of them, but not all of them. So I always just cut those apart. All right, so this guy, the next two papers, we are going to trim to 8.25 inches tall. The reason we're trimming to 8.25 inches tall, that is the height of our inserts. Our inserts are 8.25. Since we're going to slip cover the inserts, we also want our paper to be 8.25. So I always like to look at the paper before we cut and look at both sides of the paper. Number one, we're looking to see if there is a pattern that needs to be oriented the correct way before we trim. In this case, we're golden. It doesn't matter which way these leaves are falling, right? Because they're just scattered everywhere. On the back side, same thing. This is a plaid, so it does not matter which way we cut it. When I say which way we cut, I mean it doesn't matter which way we put that into our trimmer. So again, we want to trim that piece to 8.25 inches tall, 8 1/4, because that is the height of our insert. So that'll be the perfect height for us to slip cover. And then we just leave it 12 inches wide. All right, go ahead and set this little guy off to the side because sometimes we use the pieces that we have left over. All right, paper number 3. Same thing on this guy. Does this guy have a pattern that needs to be oriented a certain way? So we need to be aware of that when we put it in our trimmer to put it in the correct direction. This one, same thing, doesn't matter. This is a plaid, is a plaid, is a plaid, whichever way you turn it. Likewise on the back side, it is, oh gosh, it's amazing when you have glasses on what you can see. This has leaves, right? It's a tone on tone leaves. I thought that was so funny. I thought that was just like little circles, little kind of polka dots, but it's not. All right, so same thing here. I am cutting the product strip off, and then we will trim this paper to 8.25. So 8 1/4. The only thing sometimes I will do on a paper like this, if I were to cut at 8.25, it ends up being right about, where did that go? Right here. So when I look at that, it's not bad, but I'm ending with the green and then there's a little bit of white up here. So you can always rotate and see, does it end a little better spot that way? Do you like the way it looks better that way? Do you like the way it looks better that way? You can decide, but I like to just point that out because sometimes things change. It looks different based on how you're putting that, how you're orienting, yeah. Oh, which direction you're putting it in the trimmer before you cut. All right, so before we put our trimmer away, we're going to cut a couple more pieces. Let's take this guy. I'm just looking to see what I did. This guy we need to be 3x4. So go ahead and trim it to 4 and then trim it to 3. So that guy is 3x4. Then also do another one, and this one is 3 1/4. 3 1/4 by 4 1/4. So it's just a little bit wider and taller. So one's 3x4, one's 3 1/4 by 4 1/4. We'll just use these in our decorating. Oh, that's funny. I just realized I didn't decorate the second slipcover yet. Okay, so there we go. There are those two pieces. And then here, let's do the same thing. Except we just want 2 3x4s. Basically, we are cutting them down so we can use them in the pockets. All right, so we have 2 3x4s, a 3x4, and a 3 1/4 by 4 1/4. As we're working, as I'm cutting things, if you ever need a couple more minutes to finish, you can always hit pause on the video. And that is whether you're, obviously, if you're watching replay, you can hit pause and stop and rewind and fast forward. If you're watching live, you can hit pause and then keep watching, you know, just push play again when you are ready to roll. All right, so let's go ahead, and I usually start out by decorating my pockets first. So I have unloaded this Traveler's Notebook because I've used it before for a different setup. So let's go ahead and start decorating our pockets. So generally what we'll do is we'll kind of get the pockets stuffed, and then we'll come back and add just a tiny bit of like adhesive, our tape runner, just to tack a couple of pieces down. I always like to outline, well, let's be honest, oopsie. I always like to outline everything. So I know this card will kind of sit in the background. So that one's going right there. And I don't really worry when I start putting cards in. I'm not worried too much about what they say. Sometimes I may be able to preserve a saying like that. Other times I may just be using the card for the decorative pattern. All right, next guy. This is one of our 3x4s. This one will also get outlined. And that, if you haven't seen me do the outlining before, that's just kind of my way of finishing things off. Some people like to ink the edges. And so if you are an inker, you can get your ink out and ink the edges. Or you may just leave them plain. I think when I really noticed outlining is on a card like this. It's pretty plain around the edges. And if I come in with my pen, and see how I'm rotating, I try to keep my hand from doing the least amount of moving. That's how I can try to get pretty straight lines. If I want them to be perfect, I'd have the ruler out. I don't want them to be perfect. So just makes a huge difference. That card now just seems like it's more finished to me. All right, so that guy will pop right in there. And next up, we need a mint card, this guy. Now we talked about what we do with the slip covers when we're done with them, but you also, when you're done with the month, have a lot of things that you've used to decorate the pockets. So all of these things could be used just as easily, or used, I should say, as well. So you can use your 3x4 cards for card fronts. You have lots of stickers. You could make tags, just kind of do whatever you want with them. All right, so next up, and I'm going to keep going with my cards, and then I'll come back in and decorate with stickers. This card, let's see what we did here. This card I'm using pretty much just for the pattern, just to get a little bit of that green in there. Now, when I pop this into this pocket, it's too tall. I know that what I'm going to put right here, if I leave this card the way that it is, it's just too tall and it's going to cover it up. So I will either come in with my scissors and chop part of it off, or I will bend it underneath itself. Just depends on how lazy I am. Generally, it's easier to bend than scissors. So there we go. Just now it'll give me a little pop of green. Then I have, oh, let's keep that guy out because we'll use him in just a second. Where? Where did that come from? Oh, I'm so silly. Oh, sorry. There's my nice head in there. I'm like, where did this come from? It's the same card. Yeah, blonde some days, right? Don't mind me. That's one card. Ay. Okay, next up we have this guy. One of our 3x4s that we cut, the second one, and this one, let me just outline again really quick. This guy looks like it is, you could either go vertical or horizontal with it. We are going to do some fussy cutting to put something right over this spot, so you can decide what you want to do there. You don't have to quite decide yet. Our last piece, if you have oh, guess what? I need one more. I need one more of those oranges. So grab our trimmer out again. That must be what I have left over. Okay, I have that orange piece in my pocket on my insert, or excuse me, on my traveler's notebook. So if you have a traveler's notebook that has a pocket, a window pocket, you might want to put something in that pocket. So that is what I am doing here. Let's try 2 3/4. Okay, a little bit too tall, so let's try 2 1/2. If you don't have a window pocket like I do in your traveler's notebook, don't be sad. You just won't have to put anything there. You may put the little truck on that little plain pocket if you have a plain pocket right there. But I just like to give a little bit of a background there. All right, so this ends up being, for those of you that are using one of the Doodlebug traveler's notebooks that has a window pocket, that is about 2 and, oh gosh, I hate to do this, 4, like 6/16. Like 2 6/16. So we'll just pop that little guy in there. And now we'll get our trimmer out of here again. All right, so we are just about ready to start adding stickers, except we need to work with this card. I thought this was a really pretty card, but a lot of times when you put something like this in a pocket, you lose so much of the design. So what we're going to do is we're basically going to create our own die cut, and we're going to do that by fussy cutting. So when I say fussy cutting, I mean we're going to take our scissors and we are going to cut out that image. So do you see my little guy here? You can see now that it's been cut out, right? So fussy cut, in my world, there's 2 ways to fussy cut. One is fussy cutting and one is stupid fussy cutting. I am a proponent of fussy cutting, not stupid fussy cutting. What I mean by that, I don't get like all the way down to those leaves so you can't see any white. I'd like to leave that background. I also don't come in and try to clean out all of that white in the inside of that flower arrangement. So if you want to do that, you can. You may say, you know what, fussy cutting, smushy cutting. I'm not doing that. Up to you. So I'm just taking my little fussy cutting scissors here. Any kind of small scissor will do. So if you have a small scissor like this, it's just a little bit easier to work with than having a really large scissor. These are the fussy cutting scissors that I have on my website. I love these just because they are super easy to work with when you're fussy cutting. So they just kind of sit right there in the little palm of your hand. And I use my thumb and my little pointer finger to control that little blade. And I usually go pretty quick. I'm not too worried about how even it is. That's another nice thing about always leaving a little bit of border like we talked about, doing regular fussy cutting instead of stupid fussy cutting. If you have a little bit of a border that you're leaving, it's a lot more forgiving. If you don't quite cut even, or you have a little bit more white in one spot and a little bit less white in another spot, it's not as noticeable as if you had tried to have there be no white at all. Back to inking. Those of you that are inkers, if you wanted to come back in and ink some of these edges, you could do that as well. I'm generally not an inker, probably because I'm a control freak. Oh, you know what I just noticed? I love Stargazer lilies, and so I buy them often. Trader Joe's has amazing Stargazer lilies for a really good price, like $6 a bunch. And so I have them quite often. And today I was taking them out of the vase and getting rid of the dead ones. There are some that still maybe have 3 or 4 more days left in their little life. And the insides of the flowers, I don't remember, it's the stamen. I don't know what it is. It's not the stamen. It's the really messy, if you know Stargazer lilies, the really messy inside parts that are yellow or they kind of look like, kind of reminds me of saffron. Anyhow, those little things get on you and they stain. Oh my gosh. So I did that this morning. I still have some of that like yellow on me from the flowers. I was not inking. Anyhow, back to inking. I don't ink the edges of my projects too often, or things that I'm working on, just because I'm a bit of a control freak and it's a little bit harder to control the placement of ink. I can control the placement of a black pen around the edges of something much easier than I can with ink. So I don't ink, but if you ink and you wanted to ink these edges after you fussy cut, you certainly could. Especially those of you that like kind of the walnut stain, that type of look. Fall is perfect for that, right? Fall's perfect for just kind of getting things a little bit browned around the edges. All right, so I don't take too long, like I said. Just kind of go pretty quickly. And now it looks like I have a die cut instead of a card. I always look at my cards with this in mind. Once I cut the 3x4s out, I always look at them and think, oh my gosh, what could I cut out? Yes, I know, Terry. I know they last longer. I'm usually very good about that. Well, between Nick and I, Nick's my husband, we're usually very good about that. These just didn't happen. Right. Okay. Yes, love them. Okay, so now, yes, I have a nice little die cut now instead of a card that's one-dimensional. Well, this is now, just has a little bit more dimension to it. Okay, so let's come back up to the top and we will work our way down. If you have pop dots or foam squares, foam adhesive, foam tape, I like to use some dimensional adhesive like this in my pockets, because it just kind of gives things a lot more life as opposed to being super flat. So let's move these things off to the side and swap out for our stickers. Let's put this right here so we can see. Time for the face fan. Too hot. Okay, so starting up here, I have a little rooster. If you have not done this with me before, you do you. You decide how you want to decorate from here. If you're like, oh my gosh, I hate roosters. When I was a kid, a rooster bit me on the finger and I've never recovered, whatever. Then you decide to put something else there. Just because I put something there, don't feel like you have to do that if it doesn't really work for you. So here's a little rooster, and the rooster will go kind of about right in there, upper right hand corner of that little orange card. And I did add a couple of pop dots behind the rooster. All right, next up is thankful. So thankful right here in the center-ish of our sticker sheet. I will also put some pop dots behind this one. Other than putting pop dots behind, I am leaving a lot of dimension, or excuse me, what am I saying? I am leaving the stickers sticky. So I'm not like de-stickifying the stickers. There are different powder tools. There's a powder tool, that's what it's called, that you can basically rub powder on the back of your sticker and it de-stickifies it. But I don't really worry about that when I'm working with my little traveler's notebooks here. All right, there we go. There's thankful. I'm also not worried when I'm placing things. I know we can see part of grateful, but I'm going to cover that up. So I'm not worried that when I'm putting cards in that things are going to be, you know, partial words. All right, I love fall most of all. I don't. I love summer most of all. Fall's a close second. And then spring and then winter. But we're using I love fall most of all tag right about there. And again, I put a couple of foam squares and I just did it on the top. Not on the bottom part. I just did it on the top because I think that gives a little bit more dimension if only part of it is popped. Okay, next up we have three things here. We have a wagon, we have a birdhouse, and we have a little apple. So we have, there's our birdhouse. Oh, look at all three are right there. There's our wagon, and there's our little apple. So birdhouse, wagon, apple. And looks like we did the birdhouse first. So I'll just put one little pop dot right on the back of that. And let's kind of pop that guy right about there. So we're covering up we still have a little bit of that kind of mint background on that card, but we're covering also a lot of it up. We have a little bit of those flowers poking out of the top, but if you didn't want to put the pumpkin or the wagon full of pumpkins, this is okay right here, right? That's pretty generic. You could find something else to put there if you didn't want to do the wagon. Yeah, I hate to see summer go, but then it's hot, so. Although in Utah, I'm in Utah, and Utah, we still have lots of, not lots of summer left, but it will be warm for quite a while still. All right, so my little apple. My apple is just kind of going to go right there. I wanted to fill in a little bit of that space. So you could use a pop dot if you wanted behind apple or not. And those of you Southern California ladies, you kind of have this, it seems like summer all year long. I know you don't, but. Okay, so next up, let's tuck this guy in just right now for a little bit of placement. That is what is going to fill up kind of what we have open over here to the left of that card. So I'm just going to tuck that right there while I decorate around here a little bit. I have a wagon already right here. I really don't want another wagon. That is kind of weird to have wagon, right? So I am going to cover up the part of the wagon. I'm okay having more pumpkins, but I'm going to cover up part of the wagon. So I will start out by taking this wreath. So this wreath says fall. I already have fall here, so I don't really want fall again. Yes, we get that it's fall. We don't need everything to say fall, right? So what I'm going to do with this guy, I'll come in and just add one little pop dot right there, right behind kind of the yellow flowers. And this will come in And just kind of tuck in like so. So I can still see the pumpkins, and I still get that nice pretty part of the wreath, but the word fall is hidden, and now the wagon is hidden as well. All right, next up, bundle up. Bundle up goes right about there. So just filling in a little bit of that white space that's above. Then we need, oh, you know what? That's funny. I'm like, something doesn't look right. There are two bundle ups. Here is bundle up small. The scale was different. So I did not use bundle up small. I used the bundle up over here, which is a bit bigger because I have a little bit more space to fill. So that goes about right there. All right, next up, we have that fall is in the air banner. So I am going to put a pop dot behind the right side. That little tail on the right side. And that's a little trick I like to do when I have banners because it makes them have a little bit more dimension. It makes them look like they're a little bit more like flowing in the breeze. All right, and sometimes I need to just lift things back up a tad if I'm covering something. We'll just move that over a tad bit more there. All right. So now I think I'm ready to place this guy. I will get my larger pop dots out again. And generally, I'm only kind of doing that top part. The bottom part of it's going to be sticking inside my little pocket down below here. So I just really want the top part of it to be lifted and not the bottom part. Let's see, move that a little bit. All right, so I know that says fall in the air. It's covered up a little bit, but that's okay. Fall is in the air. Come on up, little guy. Maybe just kind of readjust things a little bit. So I haven't really committed to anything. I'm sticking stickers down, but I'm not really sticking them down, like really pressing down everywhere until I kind of get things set where I want them to be. All right, now we have a little bushel of apples. So right up here next to the coffee. That must be an ode to the Canadians, right? The little maple leaf there. Okay, let's do another pop dot right there. I use a lot of pop dots in my traveler's notebooks, but only in, only typically in the pockets and then on the slip covers. When it comes to working inside the actual insert itself, I don't use pop dots just because I don't want any dimension in there. It makes it a lot harder to write. So again, what we saw in the fall is in the air. I'm putting a little pop dot right behind thankful. And I'm putting that towards the kind of banner side, just so it gives it a little bit more lift. So thankful will go there. And then I did grateful and I did family. So you have lots of stickers. If you decide, oh, I'd rather be cozy instead of grateful, then you could do that. Switch them out. Grateful, I typed grateful under the little bushel a little bit. And then family. Pop that up. And that can just kind of go right in there. Okay, so our pockets are coming right along. We just really have 1, 2, 3. 3 more things to go. I'm decorating that window. Again, if you don't have a window right there, but if you still have a pocket, you could put your sticker on top of the window. You could put it on top of the pocket. It's pretty sticky, right? If it makes you nervous, especially if you don't have a little window, you just have, let's see, you just have well, like I did here. If you just have kind of the pleather, vegan leather part of the pocket, you could just stick that right on top. But even if that made you nervous, probably what I would do is I would adhere this to a piece of white cardstock, or cardstock, doesn't matter. It could even be, you know, to one of our pieces that we have left over. And then just put a little bit of adhesive on the back of that after it's been covered, so you don't have as much adhesive on your notebook. All right, so I think I probably used Pop Dots. Hi, Kelly. Forgot. Probably because I forgot to send out the reminder until a couple of hours ago. All right, so there's some Pop Dots. And just right there, kind of just a cute little Peterson's Pumpkin Farm. And then I felt like it needed a little something something right here. So I added one of these mint colored leaves, and then also a rust colored leaf. And these just kind of tuck right in there. I think what really drew me to this collection is the mint color. I loved that mint color. Show us what the cover looks like. What the cover looks like. I think I'm having a blonde moment, Terry. What the cover looks like. Okay, help me, friend. What cover? We haven't done this yet. Is that what you mean? We haven't done that part yet. We are still just working on the, we're just working on the pockets. The cover of my Tien. That? See, I think I'm having a blonde moment. I'm so confused. I'll keep going. I'll wait for you to help me. Help me! All right. So now what's happened here? No, the Tien cover. I know that this cover that I just showed you. Oh, okay. All right. Okay. Okay. What just happened here? See how when I closed it, this piece started falling out. You spend a lot of time decorating your pockets and getting them just the way you want them to look, right? So you don't want things like that to happen. Now, pretty much everything else in here is good. It's pretty good because I've added stickers. Oh, sorry. This is a different one, Terry. This is just another setup. The only reason I brought this out was because I was showing how if you didn't have a pocket with a window, you could just put your sticker right there. That is the teal gingham on my website. And that's fun too. That could go, they're both kind of that minty color. That what's really funny is both collections this month. The Welcome Autumn from Carta Bella has that mint, and then Spooky Nights also has kind of that minty light blue. So if you're like a minty light blue fan, especially if you have that Traveler's Notebook, the one that I'm using, or even gingham, both would be super fun with really either month or both months. All right, I better put these back or else I will. Don't lose this. Don't lose your little cat clip when you're putting everything as you were getting things out of your kit initially. Probably should have told you that before. Okay. I know, Terry. I'm like, what? I'm so confused. I'm like, what cover? Gotcha. All right. So as I was saying, these pieces are falling out a little bit. So that is when, once I'm done decorating my pockets, and my little charm's in the way. Once I'm done decorating my pockets and I like how everything's placed, I will come in and just add a teeny little bit of tape runner. I mean, maybe 1/2 inch. And that will go right there. So that is going to make sure that that little guy is not going to move around on me. Right now, pretty much everything. This little guy is not going to move anywhere because he's stuck under this guy. But if I felt like he might come out, I just do the same thing. Maybe about 1/2 inch, just a little bit. I just want to make sure that those pieces aren't going to move around. And everything else, I mean, look, that whole thing can come out. So if I wanted to do just a little tiny bit right there to help tack that down, yeah, everything else is pretty set. All right, so there we have our pockets. Sometimes what I do when I am kind of decorating, I will add part of our leftovers. Now, we don't have leftovers because we cut them up to use in our decorating, but this is what we had left over last month. That was part of the piece that we had left over. So sometimes I will just tuck whatever we have left over right there into the side, our little side pocket, our side secretarial pocket, because it just gives it a little bit more of a decorative touch. I didn't do that here, obviously, but you could if you had other pattern paper that you wanted to use there, or if we hadn't cut it up. The other thing that I want to show you, depending on how long you have been doing the Traveler's Notebook kits with me, every couple of months I include some pom-pom trim. I love pom-pom trim. And I always encourage you to save those pieces that we use. I have a white one somewhere. I have, oh, here's a navy one. I have a white one. I have a mustard yellow one somewhere, but I always encourage you to save these guys. If you've done it with me, save that little card that we make, because just because this says boo and it's black and white stripe doesn't mean I can't use it, because I just slide it. Well, you know what I mean. I would just slide that right in. I wouldn't use the black here. But I can just kind of keep reusing that card. So if you've done those with me in the past and you have some of the little pom-pom trim and you have a white or a yellow, that might be kind of fun to add there. And if you don't have those, and if you're like, oh my gosh, I would really like to do that, Joann, Hobby Lobby, you can usually find pom-pom trim. And then all I've done here is I just staple it. These were the pieces that I had left over from cutting the 12 by 12 paper. And I usually just staple that trim because you don't see it. Alrighty. Moving on. We are now ready to hit our slip covers. So grab your first insert. Take one of our inserts and grab your piece that you had cut that has the leaves. Denise, I know, the black buffalo check. You could use the black for next month, the black buffalo check. I used the champagne, which is champagne color on the outside and cream on the inside. Yeah, there's a lot of fun things that you could do for the October one. All right, so when we are slip covering, super, super easy. I came up with this idea, my gosh, probably five or 6 years ago now. It was December and I had just started using Traveler's Notebooks, and I had a pretty plain cover. And I thought, oh, I want to decorate this for December, and I want to put pattern paper on it and put some elf stickers and, you know, whatever I did. It was super cute until January rolled around, right? January rolled around. Let me just see. I'm here. I'm just looking. This is it. This is my Traveler's Notebook. I glued the paper to the cover, and I glued all of these things to the paper that was glued to the cover. So this was great for December because I was using my insert for December and my Traveler's Notebook was all decorated for December. But when January rolled around, I wasn't done working in my insert yet. I was still working in it. And I'm like, oh no, now I have, what am I gonna do? I have my insert that has Christmas, but I need to move it into January, which is not Christmas. So that's when I came up with the idea of slip covering. And slip covering is just like when we were kids and you'd go the first day of, school and you get your textbooks and your teacher would say, okay, go home and cover your textbooks so they stay protected. So you'd go, okay, and your mom and dad would help you, or your family would help you, brother, sister, grandma, grandpa, aunt, uncle, whatever. And you take the brown paper garbage or the brown paper sacks from the grocery store and you cover your textbooks so they would stay protected. But you also covered them because then you could doodle on them and use your markers and do all kinds of things, put stickers on them so you could decorate. And that's why I slip cover, so I can decorate, but I slip cover so I can just slip it off and move to the next month when I'm ready. So to do that, we are going to fold our paper in half. So it's 12 inches wide. We are going to fold in half. When you're folding paper, I generally like to fold the outside in. So this is the outside, right? This is going to be the outside. You can see that's my setup. So I fold the outside in towards the center. The reason I do that is because when you fold paper, sometimes the fibers break, right? The fibers break. This paper that we're using, Carta Bella, always has a really nice, heavy, textured paper for all of their designs. You really sometimes see this when you're folding on paper like this. If your fibers are going to break, they'll generally break on the crease, and they will break on the mountain side of the crease. That's what I mean. This is a mountain as opposed to the valley side of the crease. So if there's any breakage, I want my paper to be on, or if there's any breakage, I want that to happen on the inside, right? Because I'm not going to see it versus the outside. So I always fold outside in and then open it back up again. And now my outside is out. Any breakage will happen right there. And you can see already, and it definitely happens more on the heavier weight textured cardstock like this. You can already start to see some of the breakage. There's nothing wrong with that. It's nothing wrong with the paper. It's nothing wrong with you. It's just that happens. Those of you that are inkers, this is when ink really comes in handy. You could just get some of your ink out and fix that right up. All right. So now what we're going to do, 12 inches wide, well, really fold it in half, 6 and 5. I'm going to take my insert and lay my insert so the spine is in the center where my fold is, all right? And I'm going to close it. I'm going to rotate it this way because it's easier for me to work with if I rotate it. And I'm going to use my finger and press right along the edge of that insert, right? I pressed right along there, so I've made a little crease. Now I'm going to lift up my cover and just fold that right under. Now, all that thing that I just went through about the paper breaking, hi Marie, all of that whole step-by-step that I just went through about the fibers breaking, well, you're going to have it happen here too. So if you really wanted to eliminate that all around, then I would probably do all of this outside in and then flip it, but it's not a big deal. All right, so there we go. I have folded that underneath. No measuring, no anything. I just use my finger to define where the edge is of that insert and then fold under. Your washi. So you always have 18 inches of 2 different washies, one for each month. When I first started using Traveler's Notebooks and doing the slip covering, I would always take a little piece of washi, I don't know, maybe 3 inches or so, and I would put it right here. And that will just temporarily hold that slip cover in place. So did I crease at 6 inches? Here's the thing. Let's see what it is, but I would hesitate. I hesitate to tell you. I know that sounds funny, but I hesitate to tell you because it's not necessarily a science. That ends up being it's a little bit more than 5 inches, right? So this half here would be 6 because our full paper is 12, so half would be 6. So I crease, it ends up being a little bit more than 5 inches. And you could do that on one side But here's why I hesitate in telling you that. Because we now need to do the same thing on the back side. But I need to make sure that I have plenty of paper to wrap that spine. So I can't just arbitrarily say, oh, crease it at 5 on both sides and then fold it in, because I actually need a little bit more room here than I did here. So what I do is I just flip it over and do the exact same thing. Use my finger to crease that, lift up that back cover, and tuck it under. Just like that. Okay, so Lauren said her flaps are about 7/8. Yep. So that's giving her, so this, let's see, Lauren, you said that is about 7/8. Yeah. Yeah, this one is, on mine, it's about 3/4. So it just depends. It just depends. All right, so I use washi, but when I pulled these off, you may have noticed, no washi. I really don't use the washi anymore, because once your inserts are, when I say I don't, personally I don't. Once your inserts are in the elastic in your Traveler's Notebook, this isn't going to go anywhere. So if you want to still use the washi, there you can. And if you do, you probably want to do both sides. So just a little goes a long ways. Yeah. And there we go. Now, I like to round the corners. The inserts have rounded corners. And when you slip cover, you obviously don't have a rounded corner. You have a 90-degree angle. 90, yes, 90. So I like to round the corners. So I'll just grab my little corner rounder here and round those little guys. That's just a personal preference. All right, now, of course, I outline, because I do that with everything. Here's a little trick to outlining, especially when you have your pattern paper is a little bit thicker and has a little bit more texture to it like this. I think the hardest part about outlining a slipcover is when you get over here, I always end up going off the edge. So a way to prevent that is to just open it up. And then I'm not worried about going over the edge. Oh my gosh, okay. Yeah, so this is the thing, one of the disadvantages about being virtual as opposed to being in person, right? So is it Teresa? TKS Baskets. You said, no, the fold by the spine, you creased it in half, not where the flap is, yes. So I just went on a whole soapbox about, well, I really wouldn't do it that way, but if you wanted, yeah, sorry about that. If we were in person, I would have started that, and you would have been like, no, this. It's just, in the chat, takes a little bit while for me to see that, so, yes. Yes, Lauren, I did, not Lauren, Teresa. Yes, Teresa, I did crease it 6 inches. Yikes. And you know what, I should have known that, because, hello, 6 inches, well, yeah, anyhow, it's all good. Okay, so now to decorate our first slipcover. We are going to take this piece that we cut earlier. This one is the 4 3/4 by 3 3/4. So that is my first one. I'm going to actually make 3 layers here. So that is actually one of 3 layers. There is the second one. And the third one is this mint card. So what I did was this went on here. And then I took this, trimmed it down, and put it there. So I have 3 layers. I could have done that, but I really felt like on that background there's so much going on. And especially since this is almost the exact same as that, we needed just one more thing to help really differentiate that and make it stand out. So that's what I did. All right, so we're going to take our mint card, and our mint card, we will adhere to the center of our 3 1/4 by 4 1/4 piece that we cut earlier, like so. And of course, I have to outline it. Now, if you wanted, if you're like, enough of the fall already, I know it's fall, you could just go with that. There is always something to be grateful for. So you could do that. But what I did, again, I took that card and I need to trim it down a little bit, or else we won't see any of the mint background. So when I trim this down, I want to trim 1/8 of an inch from all 4 sides, so that my the design element is centered. So 1/8 of an inch on all 4 sides, which would now give me a 2 3/4 by 3 3/4 size card. Oh, that was funny. Did you see what I did? I outlined a little prematurely. Yes, and Teresa, I'm known for the tangents, going off tangents. That's why Scatter likes to hang out with us. All right, so I outlined prematurely because now that's going on there and it's covering some of the outline, but not all. That's okay. That will go in the center of there. And then, because you can never have enough, more outlining. All right, so that, I usually put whatever my design element is, the upper third. I generally don't go in the center, I go upper third. So that's where I'm going to put. If you'd like to put yours in the center, you can. About upper third. And then we need a little bit more decorating because we have so many cute stickers left to work with. So what I have done is I've done some layering here. So starting out with this jar full of fall flower jar vase, that would be a vase on a jar. The vase full of flowers. This is all pop dotted. All right, so this guy, about right there. Okay, then we have our little yellow birdhouse, which is right down here. And while we're here, I'm going to grab those little boots. I think those are supposed to be like hunter boots. And we'll take one more little pop dot, put it behind the birdhouse. And that will go over here. So it's part on top of the vase and then part on top of the card. And then I have the boots. Now with the boots, I need to come in and put some pop dots behind part of the boots, but not the whole boots. Really, it's behind, kind of behind the right boot. And the reason I'm putting it only behind the right boot is because everything else is going to sit on top of that vase, and the vase is already pop dotted. So if I added pop dots on the rest of this, I would be totally uneven because I would have only single pop dot here and then kind of double there. And that will go right about there. All right, so there, hold on. Could you use mint solid color scrapbook paper cardstock to mat these decorative cut aparts? Absolutely. And orange, absolutely. You know why? Because you really don't even I mean, you don't see any of the card, right? You just see the background. So you totally could. And if you're looking at these cards and you're like, oh my gosh, these cards are so cute, I want to use them for something else. Yep, Lauren just did it. Yes. So things like that I can't do because I don't have them in my kit, but you guys have them in your stash of product. Absolutely. Don't waste a card. If you don't have to waste a card and you can use a card for something else, then, and you have cardstock, then absolutely. Absolutely. So there's our first insert. Now this is kind of funny, friends. I forgot I was in such a hurry when I got the product, because I got the product and then basically that day I hurry up and designed the whole kit. And then that same day, I sent the email out about it because people were waiting. Completely forgot to decorate the second slipcover. Whoopsie, right? Because really for the picture, you didn't even need to see, you just needed that. So we'll do this one on the fly. We will decorate that together. All right, so our second slipcover. And where is our second insert? Teresa, I'm folding in half at 6 inches. Oh, goodness, Lael. Yeah. Yep. I try to make things much more complicated than they need to be sometimes. Yes, we're creasing in half at 6 inches. And if you wanted to get out your bone folder, you could. All right, then we will open up and bring our insert in. The other thing that happens, I am using my monthly insert, and I use this for my calendar. So the more that I add every month, the more that I add, the bigger the insert gets, right? Just because it has more stuff inside. So when Lauren was talking about 7/8 and 7/8, if you have a flat insert where you're creasing, then that would be fine. As your insert starts to get a little bit chunkier, chunky in inserts is good. Chunky in babies is good. Chunky in ice cream is good. Chunky in thighs, not so good. All right, so, oh boy, that was, what did I do? Okay, that was totally crooked. I didn't do that very well. Let's try that again. I think it's because my insert is already chunked out. There we go. All right, then I turn it over to the back side and same thing. You probably want to make sure that your fingers are clean when you do this. Even if you, you know, your hands are washed, but you know, like when you touch your face, if you have makeup on or something, I can see that I have a little bit of, it's almost like I'm distressed. I have a little bit of just, you know, dirt on my edges. No, it just looks like it's distressed. All right, and I'll come in and round the corners. Petra, very good question. This usually comes up a couple times every kit. The kits come with one insert. The kits don't come with two inserts. That is so I can keep the cost of the kit at $20. Inserts are $5 each. So if I put two inserts in, then that bumps the cost up to $25, which I'm not opposed to, but I think people kind of like that $20 price point. But the other reason I only include one insert is if you have a traveler's notebook, almost all traveler's notebooks already come with at least one insert. So you have two, or if you've bought, then if you've bought inserts before and you've been doing this with me for a while, then you are moving your inserts from month to month. And depending on what inserts you're using, you're not always using a brand new one every month because you are maybe have a new one, but the one from the prior month you're still working with. So long story short, we only include, I only include one insert because I think that $20 price point is good. I try really hard not to get it above 20 just because I think that's, you know, there's a sweet spot, right? There's a sweet spot for a lot of us where we're like, oh yeah, no brainer. And then it gets to a certain point and you're like, well, and I know, then you also pay shipping on top of it, which, anyhow, yes, I always include one. If you needed more than one, you could always, add on to your order. But, yep, I just do one. It's funny, I have some people that have been doing them with me for so long that when they order, they actually request not to have the insert because they have so many inserts built up. I think we're in our fourth year of doing the bi-monthly Traveler's Notebook kits. Okay, so let's see what we have. So Denise said, I use an empty TN to make the creases and my chunky TN fits, makes it much easier to make the flaps. Hey, that is I love that suggestion, Denise. So what Denise said, instead of trying to use your chunky TN, your insert to try to make the creases, because it was a little bit harder because I've put things in, and sometimes this happens with your inserts. As you put things in, the pages kind of start to push out a little bit from the cover. So Denise takes a brand new, or one of her, emptier inserts like this, and always uses an empty one to do the creases for slip covers. So then it gives you a nice straight, nice even crease. A lot of times if your crease is crooked, you don't really notice, but when you're working with the paper like this that has lines, it's a little bit more obvious. All right, so let's see, guys, what should we do now? What should we do to decorate that? We have some cards left. So let's look at our cards. Fall is in the air. Give thanks. Fall weather, y'all. Pumpkin spice and everything nice. Pumpkin pie fixes everything. If you like pumpkin pie, I like pumpkin pie. It does. Well, let's be honest. Pie fixes everything. Or sugar. Sugar fixes everything. No. Okay, so we have some cards left, and let's see what we have here. Oh, okay. So I kind of like this little scenario here. I feel like me personally, I've got a lot of fall already going on. So there are a couple of different things I could do. If I wanted, I could use this guy. And if I did that, I would probably use this. Oh, same thing. Yeah, that's darker than I want to go. So I will use the back side of either one of my cards, or I have this left over from our extra piece. So if that went right there, let's see what else I would do with it. Or that could just go in the center. If this goes in the center, and then, oh, how about this? If we did, it's pumpkin season here. And then this went here, and then I've got a couple more pumpkins that I think maybe could go around here. That's what I'm going to do. All right, so this little banner, I'll put some pop dots behind. Oh my gosh, these lights. Okay, guys, we're now going up to 2 on the fan. Level 2 on the face fan. Hopefully that is not super distracting. You guys tell me, is that distracting, that little fan? My little, oh my gosh, menopause really is a bummer fan that is fanning my face now. Okay, good. It's that or no lights. And as we get, deeper in the year, it gets really hard to not have lights because we just get a lot of shadows. All right, so I think we'll do this guy right there. And this over here. That's funny that I forgot to do that. Here's a little tip, and you see I keep bringing this guy in. If you have a little garbage, a little can, a little shoebox, a little something, on that you can have with you when you're working on this, you end up with all these little backings to the oh, we used all the little ones to our foam squares. So if you can put them in the garbage as you go, it makes it your cleanup a lot swifter, right? So in this case, I am basically just making the whole thing pop-gutted. All right, so that went there. Okay, let's look. Maybe. I don't know, that might be a lot of pumpkins. It's kind of pumpkin overload there. So I will not put more pumpkins on there. I think we'll pick this back up and we'll just do it right there in the center. And no. All right, so I was saying, well, maybe I should mount it, but I'm not going to mount it because look what happens. It totally gets lost. That orange is the same color as the stripes. So we will just go with this outline. I know, usually I have one on my, that like hits my legs too, but that one's downstairs right now. On Saturdays, I'm loaded for bear. I have all the fans. Yeah. So Terry, you remember Terry, some point, I don't know, in one of our sessions, you mentioned you had an overhead fan in your craft room. And so I put an overhead fan in. Well, let's be honest, I didn't do it. Nick and our younger son, Sam, did it. Nick said, well, this is what you're going to get. You are, oh, I knew that was going to happen. So I was prepared. He said, you're going to get what you're going to get and you're not going to throw a fit, right? I think that's from the Barney days. Get what you get, you don't throw a fit. So the option was to drill a hole in the ceiling and then tie into one of the, like thread the power to one of the can lights or something. And then it only works when the light switch is on. Because it is a fan, I bought a fan that doesn't have a light because I didn't want a light. Just me chatting while I'm doing this. And so I said, okay, because I want a fan. Anyhow, long story short, when I am teaching, I cannot have the fan on because the overhead light, come on. What am I doing? Come on. That is not, I don't think doesn't feel right. I have a hard time thinking and talking at the same time. Okay, there we go. Anyhow, it can't, if the fan is on and the light is on and then it casts a horrible shadow when we're trying to work. Woo! Okay, that only took me 10 minutes to get that out. So, it's lovely when I'm working in here, but when I'm teaching, I can't have it on. All right, so there we go. There's our second insert, and normally our second insert would go right there, and we are all ready for tomorrow to start the month. What I like to do at this point, I mentioned before that I use a monthly insert. So now I take what I have left, and monthly insert, not part of your kit. This is where I just kind of plan on the fly even more. So I come to September, and I have already filled out calendar for September. And we'll just do a little bit of outlining here because it's what I do. The monthly inserts are undated, which is nice because you can use them for any year, but you can also start using them any month of any year. So a lot of times with a calendar, you have to wait to start until January. Because they're undated, you can start to use them at any time. So let's say if I picked up a monthly insert and I wanted to start now, I would just start in September. I'm not worrying about all the prior months because once December hits, then I move to January and continue. All right, so I take what we have left over and I do a little decorating. So we know that we have some washi left over. Haven't used all the washi. We have lots of stickers left over. Sometimes what I like to do, I said that you could save these guys because sometimes I like to use these, the product strips, as if they're little washi strips. So I just tore that. And what I'll do though, let's see. I'm going to trim off. Every manufacturer does their product strips differently. Cartabella has a little bit of a white border on the top and bottom, which I don't really want. So I'm just going to kind of cut that off. But this is about the width of a standard roll of washi. So that's a little trick if you don't have washi that matches product that you're using. If you have the paper, just go grab the product strip or even just cut a thin strip of the paper. Or if you don't even have the paper, then go find something that would work. So there we go. Now, sometimes when I am kind of in the middle, so probably May and June, maybe even July, I could just adhere this entire strip right there along the bottom. But right now, I'm not going to do that because I have so much. I have now 9 months over here and fewer months over here. So I've got this big kind of bump right here. So what I will do is I will cut it. So it will still look like it's connected, but it really won't be connected. But I first want to use this. Anne said, oh, okay, hold on. Okay. Let me go back. Let's see. Denise, I can't wait till December document with Lizzie. Yes, that's going to be so fun. Terry said, can you tell us when you're going to do a flip through the December album? Terry, I have to finish the December album. Now you know my secret. What you saw on the website, I think the 1st, the 8th, and the 16th and the cover, that is all I have done right now. I have some other projects that I need to wrap up first. So it will probably be, probably be week after next, I want to say. Yeah, probably week after next. I just need a little bit more time. Okay, so, and if you don't know what we're talking about, we are talking about one of my scrapbooking project kits, a mini book project kit that I released last week for pre-order called December Documented. All right, so there's some washi, and now I can come and put this kind of just to give it a little bit of an accent color. So it's funny, and I'm just chit-chatting now, guys, as I'm really, this is what's going on. I probably should have explained this for those of you that are new. We're now done, like, with the formal part, not too formal, but the formal part of class. Now I'm just doing what I like to do with the rest of my stuff. So I always encourage you to work with the rest of your stuff. So if you want to hang out and with me while I chit-chat and do the rest of this, now that's too long, then you can. Otherwise, you can go enjoy the rest of your evening. Oh, I know. Okay, so now as I'm chit-chatting, what I was going to say is someone emailed today and said, oh my gosh, I'm so excited about your December documented and da-da-da-da-da, and talked a little bit. And then she said, now, I just have a question for you. Did you really mean to schedule the live class for October 31st on Halloween? And I responded back and I said, actually, I did. I said, you know, you never know. Sometimes there's a method to my madness and sometimes I just don't even realize. In that case, method to my madness. October 31st is Halloween. That's something that those of you in the U.S. that we celebrate here in the U.S. It's on a Sunday. In a lot of cases, when that happens and Halloween falls on a Sunday, it seems like people observe it on Saturday. That's when they're doing the trick-or-treating and their parties and so forth. I am traveling, so I'll be shipping that kit the week of September 20th, and that'll probably take us a week to get them all shipped. And then I need to give everybody usually about 2 weeks to make sure that they get their project or their kit. I am traveling 5 out of the 6 weeks in between October and November. And the 31st is October 9th I'm not traveling, but that really doesn't give everyone enough time. So October 31st it is. That was really the only time that I could do it. And I wanted to be able to do that one on a weekend as opposed to a night, because that's going to be about a 4-hour guide. Anyhow, I'm just chit-chatting. All right, so let's take some more stickers. But Denise, it reminded me of what you said about Lizzie's event, because that is one that I will be, that I will be out of town for. I think I'm 2 weekends in a row with her. Terry, so here's the deal. That actually may be more of a Utah thing. I've lived in Utah since I was in 4th grade. So, just a few years. The predominant religion in Utah is the Mormon Church, or the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. I am not of that faith, but that is there are a lot of people in Utah that are. And generally one of their beliefs is that they really don't do much besides go to church on Sunday. So that may be why it's just in Utah that it gets switched. Teresa, it's 10. Yes, Michigan. Time to get some beauty sleep for sure. We all need our beauty sleep. So enjoy and have fun finishing your setup if you haven't finished. And if you have fun working with it next month. All right, now I just take a couple of stickers. There's always on the sticker sheets, no matter which sticker sheet we're using. Most of the time we use sticker sheets. There's always usually little stickers, right? And I like to put sometimes the little stickers just over some of the numbers. I know that that's the 4th because the one before it's the 3rd, the one after it is the 5th. So I'm not worried that I covered up the number. But it's just kind of helps to break up a little bit of adds a little bit more color throughout. And I just look at what else I have, right? Hello, fall. Oh, here, let's do this guy. How about I love fall most? Let's put that, even though I said I didn't. I could do that right there because I don't have to worry about anything going right there. That's today. Now, some of these stickers. This one, give thanks, Thanksgiving, thankful. There are a number of these stickers that you could use, wait and use in November. Now, November will have something totally different, but a lot of these would work for kind of that thankful Thanksgiving type theme as well. Let's do this. Nope, doesn't fit. We need something shorter. Do we have something shorter? We don't. So I'm going to do this. Bundle up. That just covered up the little thing that said notes. Really, when I get to this point, it doesn't take a lot of decorating, right? I mean, I add some accent along the bottom, add a couple stickers, and yeah. I think that is, if I wanted, I could do something like this. Fall is fun. Like right in there if I wanted. Fall is fun. I might put one more red, just because that really brings in a lot of red, and I don't have a lot of red yet. So let's bring in one more little red sticker somewhere. I stayed away from the mint, and I didn't necessarily do that on purpose. I stayed away from the mint because there's not really any other mint in here, right? The other stickers I used didn't have any mint, so I stayed away from the mint. This thing that says FALL, the stickers that spell fall, like this, right? If I wanted, here's an alternate decoration I could have done for the cover here. If I had this same piece, or I could do it with white cardstock or a different color cardstock. I am going to make this, let's try it 3x4. It's 4, 3 is right there. Anytime you have a word that has 4 letters, you can stack, right? Because then they're even. So that could be an alternate if I didn't want to use the other sticker. This could be for my slip cover for the second one. And then I could come in and maybe add a little pumpkin or something. Like that. So that little guy could go right there instead. Okay, guys. I used them all. Don't forget the back pages. Oh, yes. And Denise, I will tell you guys, Denise kind of has given herself a personal challenge every month. She's told me that she uses every single sticker on a sheet. Now, that doesn't mean she uses it all on the cover. She might use it on a couple of inserts. She might use it on a calendar. She might make a list out of it. She might make a card, but she tries to use all of the stickers every month because why not? Oh, Terry said, I love that you didn't go with the traditional back to school theme for September. Terry, in all the years I've done this, I don't think I have ever done a school theme just because that to me is too themey. Some people might say Halloween's too themey, but back to school, if you don't have kids in school, then or you're not in school yourself, I should say, the whole back to school to me is kind of a stretch. So not that I don't love back to school, but yeah, I think it's a little bit harder. It's a little bit less inclusive if we do that. So I'm glad that worked. Jeanette said, in the 1950s in Kansas, we went trick-or-treating the night before and Halloween night. Oh yeah, right, double the candy. All right, friends, I'm going to turn off the lights. It will be really dark for a minute, so I need to go turn on the overhead lights because it's about, oh, I better not trip. It's like super dark in here. Okay, I'm still here. All right, there we go. Oh, no, those again. All right. So now, yes, see all the shadowing? That's why we have those lights. Okay, I'm going to spin the camera so we can say goodbye, okay? Hang on. We're spinning. 1, 2, 3. Oh, yeah, Lauren said the other thing, too. A lot switch it because Sunday's a school. Woo! Wow. There we go. That's the corner of the light. Yes, some people switch it because school night and it's harder to, trick or treat. Or if, people have big Halloween parties or whatever, it's a little bit harder to do. Yes, Terry, thank you. Please thumbs up the video. That is always super helpful. Ooh, it gets a little skiwampus when we come back from the rotating. All right, you guys, so you are set. Hopefully you're set for September. Always fun to kind of turn the page, if you will, to a new month. I always love to redecorate my traveler's notebook just because I think it's fun and we like variety. Okay, friends, as I said, next week I will send out the email for our October setup. And in case you missed that, that is on Wednesday, the 22nd. So kind of pencil that in. And that's Wednesday, September 22nd, we'll get together to do our October setup. And since we'll be decorating for Halloween, if you have candy and you want to bring your candy out and snack on it, you can. You may already do that anyway. You may be you like to craft with candy. Well, I like candy all the time, but I try not to have it as much because it's not good. And I certainly couldn't have it while I'm teaching because, that would be very annoying. You guys would just hear me chomp all the time. Let's see. Oh, good, Al. I think L. Is it L or Ellie? Ellie said, thank you. So fun to craft along. Oh, Joe, thank you. Joe said, we love everything you do. You're sweet. Thank you. September's up. Terry's birthday's in 15 days. It's her favorite month. The candy corn. Yes. Okay. We'll talk about candy next, later this month when we're doing our setup for October. We'll talk about candy because it's, Halloween. It's fun to talk about candy. I will just say there are two types of people. You either love Peeps or you hate Peeps, right? You know Peeps, the Easter candy? You love Peeps or you hate Peeps. And if you love Peeps, I'm going to guess you probably also love candy corn, because I love candy corn. Peeps, whatever. But the people who hate candy corn seems like they also hate the Peeps. I don't think there's any in between. I think people love candy corn or they hate candy corn. No in between. I like the candy corn. But there's only one way to eat a candy corn. Do you know what it is? You have to eat it in 3 bites. You eat the top layer first, then the middle color, and then the bottom color. That's how I eat it. And you always start with the pointy end first, and then you eat the middle, and then you eat the last one. Yes. Ellie. Okay, Ellie, I apologize that earlier I was calling you Elle. I would love to say I'll remember that next time, but I know I won't. So it just, although I might, I mean, be like, Ellie, yes. Okay. In sections, yes. Joe hates both. See, I told you, it's either a lover or a hater. Love candy corn, caramel corn candy corns. God, that's a mouthful. I have not. Must eat M&Ms by color, and don't worry about the name. Oh, okay, thank you. That's when I read before I have comprehended. Skittles by the color too. I do the same thing. Exactly. I separate them all into the colors and then eat them by color. Okay. Love all marshmallows, not candy corn. Interesting. Lauren is, I bet you're a little unique there. Okay, friends. So now we've chatted about candy corns. We'll talk about candy corn. I like to call them candy corns, even though I know that corn is plural and singular together. I don't think it's corns. I know it's not corns. I think it's only a few of them. Never mind. Oh, goodness, friends. Don't mind me. This is what happens when it gets late. Lael gets punchy. So thank you for joining tonight. If you watched live, if you watched the replay, I hope you still enjoyed it. And stay tuned next week. I will send out the email with the details for our October setup. And otherwise, hope to see you on Saturdays. If you don't join in on Saturdays with our Creative Listing Traveler's Notebook sessions, you should. We have so much fun. And we just work in our Traveler's Notebook. So if you need more information about that, you can just go to my blog and you'll see information about that. So, friends, enjoy the rest of your week. Be safe. Wash your hands. We're kind of getting back to that point where I don't know, I shouldn't go there because it starts to get political. My dad lives in a assisted living, and so they are all kinds of mask mandates again because Utah, it's really bad. So anyway, just be safe, be smart, and if I don't see you before, I will see you guys in a couple weeks for our October setup. Have a good evening. Goodbye.